I'm Sabrina, if we have not already met, and if we have, welcome back to my channel. Today's topic, my Microloc journey. I had my fourth retie approximately 2 weeks ago, and how has it been going, you are wondering. I am still as happy as I was on day one. Things are getting easier, believe it or not. I think our last discussion was about braiding and banding. It is still a thorn in my side, but I am determined to make it to the 1 year mark. I'm going to stay consistent with braiding and banding. Last conversation was about not being able to get the bands out, and I switched to brighter color bands to make it easier to see when I'm snipping them out of my hair. So that has been a lifesaver. It's still a little bit of a struggle to get the bands out, but as I'm going along, things are getting easier. And forgive me as I look away, I don't want to forget anything, and I want to stay on track. By now, most of you know me, but for my new visitors, I have a habit of jumping in first and then thinking later and figuring out where I went wrong. So I decided to color my gray roots. If you look back or on the previous video, or literally just yesterday, I had quite a bit of gray and, on my edges, and just sprinkled a little throughout my hair, that I was really trying to make a decision as to whether or not I was going to just let it happen and, grow gracefully. I don't know. But it's just not me. I'm not ready. The gray hair had to go. And I decided that I was going to color. I was really tempted I contemplated, prior to coloring my hair, I used the same color that I was using before I decided to get my interlocks. But the big question was, how do I cover it all and still braid and band? Again, I kind of jumped in first without doing my research. So I may have done it the hard way. I decided to stick with the braiding and banding because I really don't want to deal with the slippage, which I am still struggling with in the back. Not as much. It is getting better as the very nape of my neck is getting longer. Also, don't want to end up with bunching. I know some people seem to think it's a myth, but either way, I'm not going to find out. I did sort of find out. I did have some bunching in the beginning because I was not braiding and banding. So I'm going to go through the whole process. From now until September, I am going to continue to braid and band. If this is your first time joining me, I started my interlocks with 2-strand twists because the ends of my hair were not completely interlocked. That puts me at a greater risk of having the bunching when I'm shampooing my hair. So I decided I'm going to continue to braid and band as much as I don't like it. Yes, I'm lazy. It probably really doesn't take that long, 15 minutes. The part, I guess, I want everything quick, fast, and in a hurry so that I don't get off track here. So I decided I was going to color my hair, and I braided and banded first. I tried to leave enough out in my roots so that I could, get to the roots. I mean, mostly it was along my hairline. So I figured it wouldn't be too bad. And I did not color the back at all because I don't have much gray in the back. This is what I can see. This is what frames my face. So this is what I didn't want to show, that this was what was most important to me. And normally I leave the hair color in the squeeze bottle and, I apply. I don't know. In my mind, I thought if I have a brush, I can concentrate more on those areas, especially along my hairline. The brush was actually very helpful for my hairline. However, the brush was not helpful in getting in between where I had braiding mistake was for me, what would have been smart was for me to put just a little bit in the bowl and use the brush and leave the rest in the bottle. And then I could, like squeeze it in between. But again, I didn't think about it. But afterwards, I thought to myself, this isn't going well. Afterwards, after I finished everything, I decided to do my research, and I watched two videos. One, I watched Mary from Life Love Locks. She actually said what she does is she shampoos first, then she braids, then she lets it dry. And I thought about trying that. However, I am still dealing with slippage. I don't want to deal with slippage at all. So I'm not going to try that. I'm just not going to do it. It obviously works for her, but the more I think about it, I'm just going to continue to braid and band. And yeah, the issue really is, am I getting my hair completely clean? Getting all of the soap out of my hair. I feel like I'm rinsing pretty good, and I don't feel like there's any residue left. And I'm using a clarifying shampoo. So I'm going to go with it for a year and see what happens. The other video that I watched was Kendra Kinche, and the title of her video was How I Dye My Gray Hair. That's what it is. I wrote too small and the book is too far away. Sorry. Her video was incredibly helpful. It would have been more helpful if I watched it before I attempted to do my own hair, because she actually sectioned off her hair. She didn't braid and band. I'm sure she's beyond that stage of needing to. But what she did section it off. And then she went in between, her sections with the bottle. And then, massaged it in with her fingers to make sure that she was getting everything saturated really well, which I will do that again. And even though I sat for the 30 minutes, there are still a couple gray hairs are super stubborn. And there are still a couple little ones that, even though I swore I got it all, that still show up, or that I can see anyway. Probably no one else can, but I can. So I will focus next time. But again, honestly, it seems like no matter how hard I try, even when I've gone to the salon to get my hair colored, there's always 1, 2, 3 strands that don't get completely saturated with the hair color, and it's there. And yeah, it bothers me. Okay, on to wash frequency. Currently, I'm doing every 2 weeks, and I find that that's working for me just because it's winter and everything is dry. Um, Even with moisturizing my scalp with the jojoba oil, it gets me through probably 3-4 days, and then I have to reapply it. I will spray my scalp lightly with rose water, and then I will oil my scalp. And that seems to be doing the trick for my itching. I still have a little bit here just above my ear. I have this one section that just really drives me nuts, but it's mostly the itching part has, I believe, dissipated, except, again, once I get into that 3-4 day mark when things start to get a little dry again. And then I use more of the jojoba oil, which isn't heavy at all. And I'm golden. I expect that my washes will be more frequent in the summer when things warm up, when I'm outside more often, working up a sweat or going to the beach or things like that. Speaking of the beach, when I do go to the beach, I cover my hair. I use one of those gaiters, but you find them in all sorts of pretty colors. And I put that on my hair because I don't want any sand getting in my hair. And so that's wash frequency. And we discussed the itching, which is all but resolved. And I think that I'll be able to, once things warm up and the humidity levels start to rise, I strongly feel like I am over the itch hurdle. in month number 5. Uh, Morning routine. Uh, Again, I am something that I was not doing before. I'd never slept with a bonnet on my hair, and I just use the pure silk pillowcases, and not satin but silk, and that's always worked for me. But now my fear is lint, so my blanket is cotton, and I don't want to get that in my hair. So I have started using a bonnet at night. So far, no lint whatsoever, and I know that for sure because 2 weeks ago when I had my 4th retie, um, I asked, "Was there any lint?" And she said, "Absolutely no." No problems with dandruff. I do get a little light flaking, in between shampoos, but it's been very minimal. And I just tend to, like I said, I'm massaging my scalp. If I see some flakes, I'll, just rub them out a little bit. Uh, and every morning, what I do is because, from sleeping, my hair is normally flat to my head. I will take the warm blow dryer and blow dry my hair. And what it does is it tends to make my hair more pliable again. And that's generally I'll style with the blow dryer if I want my hair to go, one section to the other section, which is also brings another thought to mind that when I am getting my retie, I decide at that point where I want my part so that she can end from north to south where I want my part. This time it's not where my hair is parted now, it's a bit off to the side. So that's not where I had her do my that's not where I decided I wanted my part initially. It was actually a middle part, which I ended up not liking for my round face. I have a full round face, and it just wasn't a good look for me. And it takes a couple days after your reties, probably more than a couple days, like a week, 2 weeks, for you to get a little bit more new growth and for your hair to become pliable again, out of that shape from the center part. So you can decide ahead of time before you go, where do you want your part, because it's probably going to be that way for at least 2 weeks until you get a little bit of growth and you can move your hair, easier. So that's a thought for you. What else? Morning routine in the hair dryer. We talked about that. The warm air helps to, make your hair pliable. It just kind of fluffs it up. I found the whole hair dryer routine is just golden for me when it comes to styling my hair. I have not tried any other styles other than changing my part. I just feel like I do not have enough hair yet. Also, if you look at my last video, my hair probably looks longer because at that point it wasn't right after a wash, it wasn't a braid and band. So this is day 2. I shampooed my hair yesterday, and then I have a portable hair dryer, so I sat under the hair dryer to get my hair mostly dry. It wasn't bone dry, but it was mostly dry, before I took the bands out and took it out. And then it was quite curly. It was super cute. It's lengthened up some today because my curls have loosened up, and then the hair dryer tends to loosen them up. I'll just get a little bit close so you have like a little more light, and so you can kind of see, the just my curl pattern, and I'll look, turn around, and you can probably see some of my scalp, which is the other thing that I do not like about the braiding and banding, is because when you braid and band, you know, you're separating, you're pulling the hairs together away from your scalp. And when it dries that way, it's kind of stuck in that shape for a little bit again until your hair becomes a little more pliable. And so I tend to be scalpy, especially in the back. And that's the thing that I hate the most, is seeing my scalp. So that's the one thing that I don't like about braiding and banding, but I'm going to continue to do it, and I'll just deal with it. I've tried braiding it differently so that when it falls, you don't see my scalp. But again, it takes a lot of thought, a lot of time. I haven't figured it out. So whatever, I'm just going to deal with it. And we talked about hair color. Stray hairs. I from day one of having my install, I've had all of these little, because she didn't trim at all after my install. I mean, I started actually with a fresh haircut, but when they're, locking your hair, you tend to have little stray hairs here and there. And every once in a while, I'll see these little like flyaways or little pieces or strands of hair that are longer than anything else. And I'm trying to see if you can see any, like you can see this one here. That one's not so bad, but sometimes they're just really like kind of stringy and strandy and just kind of like hanging on the ends. And I don't like the way it looks. And I will just take scissors and I will just snip those little pieces that just kind of look out of place and just not neat. That bothers me. So I tend to do that when necessary. I'm very careful that I don't, take too much. Again, it's just those little pieces that are just like, and I can see it in my eye and I can see it when I'm looking in the mirror. I will snip those as well. And I think I have covered it all. And I'm a little bit worried because I want to report back to you guys on a monthly basis. So I'm going to have to come up with some topics. I'm going to have to start getting creative with, I don't know, some hairstyles or something to discuss so that we can visit more often. So if there is something you would like me to discuss when it comes to my Microloc journey, I'm more than happy to do that. Please comment below so that I can um, respond to your request. And I always respond to comments, period. I am going to make a point of putting some other topics on my channel, so please stay tuned for that. As a matter of fact, one that's coming up is my most recent cruise. So I will be working on that video next, so stay tuned for that. And I hope I've covered it all for you today. And as one of my readers said, she likes that I get straight to the point. So hopefully I did that for you today. In the meantime, take care, my friends. We will talk soon. And remember always, live well, thrive mindfully, and travel with purpose. See ya.